I'm not they put on this big bash and they couldn't afford to spring for a podium up here, so I'm going to use a bongo. Anyway, my name is Tom, and I've known this Father Jim Waldron for many years. I'm sorry, John Waldron. Yeah. That's him there, right? You know, he's just now retiring. Good Lord. I hope I could retire before I look that old. Anyway, here's the deal. They were looking for somebody who knew him for many years, who likes him, and who could say nice things about him. And that pretty much narrowed it down to his mother. And if she was still alive, I'm pretty sure she would probably be getting her hair done right about now. And so it fell to me to do this. And you might be wondering why I'm wearing a tuxedo. I'm a firm believer in dressing appropriately for special occasions. And before this, my wife and I were at another event, which actually was a special occasion. I see a lot of you in shorts and t-shirts, and that would have been perfectly appropriate. I mean, let's face it, folks, we're celebrating the retirement of a guy who worked, what, a day and a half a week, maybe 2 at most? And he took a month's vacation in Ireland every year. I mean, with a job like that, how can you even tell the difference between working and being retired? But anyway, I was asked to say nice things about him, and so I will try. And it's not like thinking of nice things to say about Father John is the biggest challenge I've ever had, but you know, you get the point. So I was thinking about some of the things that distinguish a really good priest. And one of the things that came to mind was how a really good priest develops loyalty among his parishioners. You know, I've seen situations where when a priest was reassigned, some of his parishioners actually left and went to his new parish just to be with him. It was a little different, my experience with Father John. We had a situation back at Queen of Peace. The back row of pews was just too close to the wall that separated the church area from the entry. And Father, when he did like funerals and stuff, you had the casket back there in the family. There just wasn't room, and it was awkward. And so basically, he just had the last 2 rows of pews removed one day. And it's not like we actually needed those pews. I mean, you know, the place was barely half full most of the time. Go figure. And unfortunately, Queen of Peace never actually recovered after he left. In fact, it's been shut down. But his next assignment at Holy Trinity did manage to recover after he moved here to Canby. So there's a good chance that St. Patrick's will recover too, you know, after he's gone. So just hang in there for a couple of years, you'll be all right. Anyway, a couple of the families who like to occupy those back pews, rather than just moving up a few feet, they just up and left the parish. Now that's a true story, absolutely true story. That's the kind of loyalty, you know, that he developed or inspired among his parishioners. Another thing about really good priests is you can tell that they really love what they do because they work hard, they study, they prepare, they put a lot of energy into their jobs. And well, this too was a little different with Father John. I can't tell you how many times I would show up for Mass with my family about 2 minutes before Mass was supposed to start. We've already heard about Irish time. You know, we've got standard time, daylight time, and Father John time. Just set your clocks back 6 or 7 minutes and you'll always be on time. Anyway, he'd be out there before Mass having his last cigarette before he'd go inside to suit up for Mass. And I'd come along and say, "Good morning, Father John, how you doing?" And he'd kind of lean into me and say, "I don't know, Tom, I have no idea what I'm going to say for my homily today." I mean, he only had a week to prepare, you know. But Father John does have some really good qualities. And if I can think of one, I'll bring it up. Just a minute, give me a second. Oh, no. Okay, I got one. Father Waldron has a really great sense of humor. Okay, well, it's not, it's not really so much that he has a great sense of humor, but he can just be very funny. Well, okay, it's not so much that he's funny, but it turns out when he says certain things with his Irish accent, they just sound funny. They come out funny, they make people laugh. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I was a little confused at the Mass. There were people speaking Spanish. Now, I heard it was going to be a bilingual Mass. I just naturally assumed that meant it would be in English and in Irish. Anyway, about saying funny things, and there's no kids around here, right? Good. I used to be part of a small group of guys that played poker once a month, and we actually invited Father John to join us a couple times. And when somebody couldn't make it, we had an empty chair at the table. It's not really like we wanted a priest at our poker games, but we felt sorry for him. He didn't have any friends, and we just pretended that we didn't notice when he was cheating. It was awkward. I think after the second time of inviting him, we decided that an empty chair wasn't so bad after all. Anyway, it's possible that at those games, there could have been the consumption of considerable quantities of certain adult beverages. It's possible, let's just say. And it's not like there was a competition, but if there had been, I'll just leave it up to your imagination as to who would have won. But in my defense, I'm sure he would say that I put up a heck of a fight. And so, at some point, after refilling his glass again, and 2 minutes later noticing that it's empty again, I'd say something like, "Hey, Father John, you want another one?" And he would come up, he would answer with one of his favorite Irish expressions, "Well, bloody hell, yes." And then later, after repeating this a few times, I might say something like, "Don't you think you've had enough?" And he would respond with another one of his favorite Irish expressions, "Well, bloody hell, no." So I guess to me, Father John is kind of like a package of really good hot dogs. If you love them, you got to roast them. And everyone loves Father John. Try to sound sincere. Oh. I wasn't supposed to say the part in parentheses. Everyone loves Father John, period. So, in addition to being like a good hot dog, he's also like a really good piece of bread. It needs to be toasted. And this is the part where I will sound sincere because I am sincere. I'm wearing my tuxedo not to mock Father John, but to honor him because this is indeed a special occasion and he is indeed a special priest. I always felt that Father John brought the love of Christ into our parishes through his words and through his actions. I believe that we are all better off for having experienced that love. I was honored to have Father Waldron as my pastor at Queen of Peace, and it is an honor to be able to call him my friend. And I know I can speak for everyone here when I say we want to thank you for your love, we want to thank you for your service, and we want to thank you for the pastoral care you gave us. We wish you good health and great happiness in your retirement years, and we hope there will be many of those years. And so, thank you, Father Waldron, and God bless you, our dear friend. Thank you.
giving it up.